Lithuania's Prime Minister Inga Ruginin has stated that Poland has agreed to postpone the reopening of its border crossings with Belarus amid renewed security concerns. She has stated that her Polish counterpart Donald Tusk reached to the decision after talks on Wednesday to coordinate their actions on the Belarus frontier. Lithuania shut its land border with Belarus earlier this week after reports of smuggling balloons crossing into its territory, a move it says will remain in place until the end of November. Poland had planned to reopen 2 more crossings next month, but will now delay the decision. Meanwhile, Latvia has stated that it's also prepared to close its only remaining border crossings with Belarus if the situation worsens. Now we move on and we stay in Europe. In a historic first, France's National Assembly has passed a motion proposed by Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally, signaling a dramatic shift in French politics. The non-binding resolution, adopted by just one vote, 185 to 184, urges government to repeal a 1968 agreement with Algeria that eases immigration for Algerian nationals. Hailing the day as historic, Marine Le Pen, National Rally parliamentary leader, has stated the following.
Qu'on peut qualifier d'historique pour le Rassemblement national, puisqu'il vient de faire voter pour la première fois dans une de ses niches un texte qui est extrêmement important pour nous parce qu'il nous apparaît être important pour notre pays. Cette résolution demandant la suppression de cette convention franco-algérienne de 68, nous la défendons depuis très longtemps. Nous considérons qu'il n'y a plus rien aujourd'hui qui justifie le maintien de cette convention. Et très objectivement, je vois que la gauche est mauvaise perdante puisqu'elle multiplie les hurlements, les insultes, les diffamations, les rappels au règlement. Il faut qu'ils comprennent que la démocratie est ainsi faite que lorsqu'il y a une voix de plus pour voter un texte, eh bien ce texte passe.
Though symbolic, the outcome marks the first time ever that a national rally proposal has been approved in Parliament, breaking the long-standing cordon sanitaire that kept mainstream parties from aligning with the far right. Support came not only from Le Pen's bloc, but also from center-right Horizon's lawmakers and some centrists, while many from President Emmanuel Macron's Renaissance Party were absent, allowing the motion to pass. Left-wing parties blasted the vote as a dangerous normalization of extremism, warning it legitimizes anti-immigrant policies. Cyrielle Chatelain, Green parliamentary leader, countered Le Pen's claim by stating the following.
Alors moi, je lance un avis de recherche. Où est Gabriel Attal? Où sont les députés macronistes? Ce qu'on vient vivre dans l'hémicycle, c'est inacceptable, c'est insupportable. L'absence des macronistes a donné une victoire au Rassemblement national sur un texte raciste, sur un texte qui remet en cause nos relations entre la France et l'Algérie. Peut-on me dire ce que Gabriel Attal, qui se prétend présidentiable, avait d'autre chose à faire ce matin que d'être dans l'hémicycle pour défendre la question internationale, l'honneur de la France, pour ne pas laisser de victoire à l'extrême droite? Enfin, très sincèrement, ce qu'on vient de vivre est insupportable. Leur absence est absolument minable. Gabriel Attal qui se planque en n'étant pas là, qui ne dit jamais un mot dans l'hémicycle, en fait, à un moment, ça suffit.
Now we move on to our next news. Hurricane Melissa has left a trail of destruction and loss across the Caribbean, emerging as one of the most powerful Atlantic storms in more than 150 years. At least 30 people have been killed, though officials warn the final death toll may rise as rescue teams continue to assess the damage and search for the victims. Jamaica has suffered the most brutal impact, with Melissa becoming the strongest hurricane ever recorded to make landfall over there. The storm's violent winds plunged most of the country into darkness, knocking out power and crippling essential services. Melissa's strength was fueled by unusually warm Caribbean waters and favorable atmospheric conditions, which allowed the system to intensify rapidly and build immense force before sweeping across the region. Now for this discussion, we welcome Claude Mills. He's a journalist, joins us live from Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you very much, Claude, for joining us. Welcome to NewsX World. Now, what more can you
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Claude, what more can you tell us about this and how are Caribbean nations preparing for these powerful hurricanes?
Well, we try to be as prepared as possible because our region has always been plagued by hurricanes, so we do the best we can in terms of our infrastructure. So most persons, they build concrete structures with hurricane-resistant roofs to withstand the storms based on their ability to buy such materials and to procure such buildings. So we are well versed in surviving hurricanes, but every now and then we get a monster hurricane like what happened with Hurricane Beryl last year that devastated Grenada, and this year it's our turn, so to speak, to bear the brunt of a catastrophic, almost insurvivable storm. So thank God Jamaica, the majority of Jamaicans were spared the savagery of what happened, but right now we have over 400,000 persons who are without power, without access to telecommunications, who are cut off from their communities, who are marooned. We have downed trees, we have live power lines, we have devastation. And, we can have a bigger catastrophe if the authorities don't move fast enough to provide social services to combat possible disease, malaria, mosquitoes, waterborne illnesses. So we need help. We need water filtration systems. We need people to come in and help us provide food for these communities. So, we do the best that we can with our meager resources, but we are at the mercy of environmental factors that are outside of our control, right? So as the famous philosopher said, we can't control events, but we can control the perception of events. So as an island nation, we can just move with tenacity and strength to rebuild in this difficult time. But we have devastated communities. A community called Black River, its streets inundated to a large degree with debris. We have services like the fire station and the police station, which have been devastated and flattened by the hurricane storms. We have iconic hotels like Jake's in Treasure Beach that has been decimated. We have beautiful communities like Treasure Beach, which is a quaint coastal town, which is just devastated. So it's rough, but we are keen to rebuild. There's an aerial footage of what transpired after the storm that is really heartbreaking, and our nation bleeds right now, but we are resilient and we will rise again.
And Claude, how is this government helping, Brazilian government helping to make sure that the regions vulnerable to climate change will be helped and they will be prepared for in case of next disaster?
Well, our government is very strict on zoning codes, how people build structures. That's one way, and they have been very proactive as it relates to environmental changes in our communities. Like they regulate shipping and regulate fishing in certain regulated areas. So they do their best to combat, but they have meager resources. Face it. I mean, what can an island nation do about warmer temperatures in the Caribbean Sea? No nation can do anything about a hurricane that sits in the Caribbean Sea for hours and days, building, getting more powerful and more deadly by the second. Nobody can litigate against that. So most they can do is govern the response to such a potential catastrophe in terms of, putting in place resources to protect its people, providing shelters. Because right now we have at least 30,000 people who are in shelters across the island. But the damage, luckily, was restricted to 3 major parishes: St. James, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. The population of St. Elizabeth is like 150,000 people, Westmoreland is like 140, and St. James like 180,000. St. James is where the famous Montego Bay is located. So we have over 400, almost 500,000 people in this region of Jamaica who have been severely affected, some of whom are homeless, some of whom are marooned. So as it relates to climate change, there's nothing much that the island nation can do about warmer temperatures and more powerful hurricanes. This has been going on for a while. And we are just almost powerless to do anything about it. We can probably advocate and lobby more powerful nations to be more careful of the carbon footprint that they put on this island, on this country, this planet that we all inhabit. But what can we really do? There's nothing much that we can do. We can just try to protect our people as best as we can. And in this catastrophe, what they are really doing now is trying to save lives.
Yes.
We're exceedingly lucky because up to this point we've only had like reports of 5 deaths so far. So we've been very, very lucky so far in terms of human loss of life, you know?
Yes. Claude, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Jamaica and sharing that insight. That was Claude Mills, as a journalist from